Jimbo Fisher. That's too easy, right? I mean, he's like, if he goes 4-8, oh,
he's not going 4-8.
If he goes 6-6,
how does he's not Texas getting fired? They just can't, right? I mean,
no, I think they can.
I think you go one more. You think they would?
This is why I put Mel Tucker on the second list and Jimbo on the first. I think they can. You got Texas joining the league. Texas, I mean, when these odds to make the playoff come out, Texas is going to be pretty high up there.
So somebody's or a few people are writing that check, is what you're saying, or would they have?
If he misses the bowl, yeah, I think he'll be out.
So but if he goes 6-6, you think he survives? Because I think he's gone at 6-6. I think if it's another 7-5, 6-6 kind of year, it's done. They're going to be mad.
You're in. It also depends on what happens. How does the offense look? Who are your 7 wins? Who are your 5 losses? Like, what does it look like?
3 of them would probably be New Mexico, Abilene Christian, and Louisiana Monroe.
That's the thing. Is for me, it's the SEC record. If he goes out there and goes 2-6 or even 3-5 against conference opponents, losing record against conference opponents could be damning.
The offense has gotten worse every single year he's been there. I think that's going to be a large part of this, obviously.
Morgan in the chat points out that crude's up 2% today. Bad news for Jimbo Fisher. That man needs to be betting against the oil markets. We do not want Texas A&M's boosters to be able to liquidate quickly and move assets around to pay off a contract. That's but look, you bring in Bobby Petrino, right? You know, you've got a situation where some of the offensive talent should be in position to take a big step forward. Defensively, they've been rock solid. Like this, the actual product on paper right now should not go 2-6 or 3-5 in the SEC.
Correct.
Their win total 7.5.
God, how is it not higher than that at this point? I mean, based on what you hired him to come in and do, to have the win total at 7.5 going into what is this, his 4th or 5th season?
Wait, this might be year 6.
Is this 6? Okay, so to have it at 7.5 going into year 6, when you signed him to a 10-year deal, $75 million guaranteed, and that's another part of it too. Like, I think the buyout is low enough now where I don't think that's the problem. I think if Texas A&M has a problem, it's they've got to pay that buyout. But now, when Jimbo signed that deal, it was like, oh my God, can you believe that kind of money? But now our coaching contracts are for Texas A&M to go get the next guy to replace him. They're going to have to pay that coach. I think that's where the problem comes in. But I can't sit here and believe we're talking about this at this point. It's like, well, if he goes 500 in the SEC, he should stick around. So that's what they hired him for, to go 4-4?
I mean, put up, and it's pretty easy fodder, and everybody starts to do it. But put up his record with Kevin Sumlin at the same time, and he's falling behind. He's lagging now, right? Because the first couple of years was like, oh well, he had Johnny Manziel, and but the longer you get this body of work going, it does not look that much better. And the A&M fans, because I said this a lot early, and they were like, oh well, the recruiting, look at all the optimism, and he's bringing all this, infuse this life, and we're still crushing it, and the success is going to come at some point. They're going to start expecting to get that. I still think 7-5 he survives. But I think it's very much coming into next year. It's a hot seat. Also, I think a lot of it depends on what happens with Petrino.
Yeah.
I thought it was that relationship. How does it unfold? What does it look like? Like, if he pulls back the reins and takes back over the play calling midway through the season because it's not working, then I think all bets are off the table. Like, if this thing just is a disaster, my goodness.
So is Petrino like a human shield? So that way, it's like if things don't work, we'd be like, "Well,
you told me, guys. You told me to do this. This is what you guys wanted.
Your way. I brought him in. We're gonna fire him, and we're gonna go back. We're gonna give it one more crack with me running the show here. We're gonna go. This year doesn't count."
This is an incredible. There are like 15 super, super fascinating storylines throughout the entire country right now, and Jimbo Fisher is like so. This one is so meaty. And it still might be like 9th if you were to try to power rank them. This is going to be an amazing fall. Also, if we want to talk about danger spots, what if Texas A&M loses at Miami?
I wish that meeting was later in the season just so we could get like Jimbo and Mario at midfield and see how tired they both look. Like they'll still be too fresh early in the year. So yeah.
For both of those programs, I think that's one of those big either momentum starters or momentum killers.
Yes.
And like huge for like what you could look forward to if you get that game. Now, it's going to be interesting.
And Bud can speak to this too, but that's also like on the momentum on the recruiting trail, because both of these are like recruiting monsters that are trying to sell like it's going to get better. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And like those early losses, boy, you're going to start trending towards the wrong direction. And then you start to be like, oh, is how long is he going to be there? How long is he going to be there? You're going to be able to keep him on board, hold a recruiting class together. It's a tricky one for Jimbo Fisher. So 7.5 is the win total right now.
Yeah, I'm actually
or 8.5. There's kind of juice both ways. I don't think he gets fired. I think they probably go somewhere in that range, and they'll fire him after 2024. You know, but if it goes badly, I think they could pull the trigger.
They beat LSU last year.
It was a weird year. They beat LSU.
Weird year. That's
like they lost to that zombie Auburn team.
Yeah,
right.
They also
were really sick against UF.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, they lost to Ole Miss. They lost at home to UF, but I think they were pretty sick, and like they had a lot of guys out with some kind of flu.
Some kind.
Yeah.
That's where I think they kind of like. I mean,
they luck boxed a win against Arkansas. Remember the KJ Jefferson reach over the goal line and the ball comes out and it's 99-yard return
the other way.
Like
Chase Bryce beat him though.
It's true. Fair and square.
There's a really dangerous stretch here. It's a 4-week stretch, and if this goes badly, I think you could see like a midseason firing. Right? Auburn, Arkansas neutral, Bama, and then at Tennessee.
Oh man!
All back to back. Like that's rough.
That's how Jimbo ends up as the West Virginia head coach for the 2024 season.
Basically, yeah.